It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021, and I hereby call this meeting of the City Council to order. Would you please bow your heads for the invocation by Councilman Morgan?
Dear Lord, we ask that you keep the citizens of Diamondhead safe as we move on through this pandemic. We are all heartbroken with the senseless killing of Officer Michael Bote. Lord, we ask that you hold his family and his wife and children in your hands during this terrible tragedy. Also, please watch over Ron Jones and his wife as she is in the hospital very ill. Loving Father, we thank you most of all for being here in our midst. Let your presence be made known and lead this meeting today. We give you these thanks and praise. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Debriot,
Here.
Councilmember Finley,
Here.
Councilmember Moran,
Here.
Councilmember Morgan,
Present.
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember LaCour.
Here.
Before we move to confirm or adjust the agenda, we have a few words we'd like to say. And I'm going to try to get through this. If I don't, my backup over here, our right-hand man, will continue on for me. Yesterday was a tragic day in our community. We lost one of our best. Lieutenant Michael Bote was a public servant, a community leader, a community friend, a smile that touched many of our hearts. As we reflect on Lieutenant Bote's time here in Diamondhead, we are surrounded by pleasant memories. He worked with the National Night Out, Neighborhood Watch, and established our Silver Alert. He knew when one of us purchased a new car, and he knew where we lived. He was proud to hop on a child's bike and challenge the fire department to a little friendly competition at National Night Out, just to bring some smiles to our little ones. He was not a stranger to any of us. He was our friend that we loved and respected. Today, we stood along Highway 90 and we watched as he returned home to us, not as we wanted, but as his will was served. Today, our entire county showed how much they love Lieutenant Michael Bote, and he will be missed. We will continue to be there and pray for his family and fellow officers. We will support our Diamondhead Police Department, and we will assist on your recovery. Our flags in the city will remain at half-mast until Sunday as we mourn the loss of one of our best, Lieutenant Michael Bote. And I'm sorry, but just give me 1 second. Could I get a motion to confirm or adjust our agenda?
I so move.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in
Mayor,
favor?
can we remove item number 7 in consent agenda regarding the roadway improvement projects? I don't have a recommendation from our engineer as of yet.
Yes, we can. So can I get a motion to move as amended to remove under the consent agenda number 7?
I so move.
Could I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
The next regularly scheduled City Council meeting will be held on Wednesday, February the 17th, 2021, in the Council Chambers at City Hall, located at 5000 Diamondhead Circle. City Hall will be closed on Monday, February the 15th, 2021, for President's Day, and Tuesday, February 16th, 2021, for Mardi Gras. And now we have Mr. Frank Bordeaux with BXI Insurance to give us an update on where we are headed toward in the city's insurance. Welcome, Mr. Bordeaux.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this year, obviously, we're seeing a definite hardening of the market.
on all lines of coverage, primarily on your liability, law enforcement liability, with what's going on in the nation. Obviously, we have faced that head on here recently, but property market as well. We're seeing a very tightening of the market. It's what I have before you is probably the most comprehensive in news article that we're getting in trade magazines. They're coming out every day of the tightening of the market. Obviously, we've had that disasters all over the country. COVID has obviously been an issue. We're not sure what the response is going to be from courts as it relates to business interruption insurance on some of these claims. There's thousands of lawsuits that are filed all across the nation. So it's more about the unknown than there is about the known. We do have some large claims that we have had from an employment practice liability standpoint. But I will say in the last 2 years, we have been, knock wood, relatively claim-free on all lines of coverage. So we've been working with the administration. We have all the underwriting information. We're going to market it to every carrier as we do every year. I don't believe that we're going to see the percentage increase at City of Diamondhead as other entities and other businesses that are seeing across the coast, just because of our limited exposure from a property standpoint. We don't have the property that a lot of the other entities have. We're going to work with, I talked to Derek, we're going to work with Hancock County to try to clean up some language in the interlocal agreement between Hancock County and the city as far as the law enforcement liability portion is. We'll try to set a meeting with Gary Yarbrough here in the next week as we review that. I think there's a few issues that we can clean up that will help us. So I wanted to let y'all know well in advance. We don't renew for a couple months. I am letting all my accounts know that what I present to you at the board meeting is probably not going to be the best quote. A lot of carriers are bringing in numbers 2-3 days prior to renewal, but I will 2 meetings prior to renewal. I'm going to be here to bring you what we have, and then we'll continue to work on it. And I've asked all my accounts to allow me to continue to work to the last minute with the administration if we get better terms or conditions from somebody that comes in late. But I did want to let y'all know that we are looking at a pretty good sizable increase. I would say between 15 to 25% increase is what we're seeing across the coast so far this year. So, and we'll bring you a full marketing report and show you all the different carriers, whether they declined or did offer terms, and let y'all know that. We've been very fortunate over the past 8 years. We've seen pretty steady decreases with the exception of last year, and this year is going to be similar to last year. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I want to get it to y'all as quick as possible. We've been advising the administration here for the past several months of what the market's looking like for budget purposes. So I can answer any questions if y'all have any.
Any questions?
I think if you don't have my cell phone number, Mr. Russo can get it for you if you have any questions after this, or we can go through, or if y'all want to go through a deeper, go through your current policies and, line by line deeper so you know what you have and what we're purchasing, I can do that as well. So.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bordeaux, and you've done an excellent job through the years with the city. We can't thank you enough, and we're leaning on you in this difficult year to do the best you can to help us out.
We'll work hard.
Thank you
for the
very
opportunity.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now for the city manager's report, Mr. Michael Russo.
Yes, ma'am. I did provide an update on projects that are going on in the city to our council via email this afternoon. I do have it typed up. It'll be part of my city manager's report and included in the minutes. It's about 3 pages worth of notes, so I'm not going to go and read each one of those tonight. But it will be in the minutes if anybody else wants to read that. And again, already provided to the council. An update on our comprehensive plan. The urban planners with Orion Planning are working on our draft document. We hope to have this completed in the next 2 months. Once the draft is completed, the planners will distribute that to our council, to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the advisory committee that we've established. They will review and offer recommendations. Adjustments could be made at that time before we would schedule a public hearing with planning and zoning, and then obviously ending with city council approval or amendment or whatever. This process still is going to take some time. We do hope to complete it by the summer or early fall. We are now working and discussing on implementation strategies, what's next. Mainly I've told them is I got a budget. I need to know where I'm going by the time June gets here financially. But also there's been areas that have been identified that maybe we don't want to wait that long. And some of those are on our agenda tonight. Part of the implementation strategy would be first to the design of East Aloha Drive, really revitalization of the East Aloha area. But part of that is the roadway, how the sidewalks, how it all works together with their vision. The next is actually writing and rewriting code for that entire area, so that right now we're C1, and a C1 calls for a certain type of building, and it looks a certain way, and there's nothing to be done about it. With a new code, we'll kind of be able to redesign it when it comes to architectural standards and looks and uses. It's more of a form-based code, but we have a little bit more control on it. The last piece was kind of, I call it low-hanging fruit, but looking at Diamondhead Drive and doing the loop and converting basically the side shoulder to a no parking area, so it would become a designated protected bike lane throughout the entire city. So mobility was a big piece that has been coming out. So this would have them go kind of really design it and put it in a place that if the council wanted to act to implement that, you would be in a position to do that. So those three are on the agenda for this evening. Update on our consolidated financial statements. I did meet with Ty this morning and went through his work. He obviously has completed that process and working to present that to the city council. The work of consolidated financial statement was basically to create a report of looking at creating our own police department and possibly merging the fire district and the water district into the city operations. And what does that mean financially? So what does it mean to the taxpayer, the guy who has to pay the bills? We are asking that we recess our meeting tonight until Monday at 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, Monday at 6 o'clock, February 8th. I will tell you it will probably be about a 2-hour meeting. He and I spent close to 3 hours this morning on it. So just kind of plan to be here for a little bit. Update on the dog park. We do have a local committee of residents that have been working for the last several weeks to basically design a dog park for the city of Diamondhead. Our next step is to hire a design firm for the park and to prepare some cost estimates. Basically, we need some pretty pictures to help us with fundraising and grant writing, so we know exactly how much is this going to cost. So I do have that on the agenda with hiring Orion Planning. In every subdivision they design, they include a dog park. It's a given, and it's because that's what people want. So they've got a lot of experience at it. On the agenda, there is an item for donation of to city services. The owners of Stump and Grind from Diamondhead have offered to donate their services to the city to help clean up after the storm. We've identified 16 tree stumps on city property that they have agreed to remove at no charge, so that's on the agenda to accept that donation. There's a work assignment with digital engineering. We've basically exhausted the current work assignment that we did last year for reviewing construction documents for the building department. So we're basically putting a new one in place that isn't part of the budget. On the agenda, there is a request for matching funds from the Hancock Board of Supervisors. There is a resolution on the agenda to submit a request to the Hancock Board of Supervisors for matching funds up to $2 million to be used for drainage projects in the city of Diamondhead. The county secured a bond for drainage projects, and they completed the Hancock County watershed-based stormwater assessment and management plan. In this report, there were 18 of the 95 sites located in Diamondhead for an estimated total cost of $12 million. The city is working to secure funding for grants, bonds, and other sources to help provide that local match, and we're asking the county to contribute. An update on the Diamondhead Water and Sewage District exposed pipes. I'm going to ask Derek to give you all an update from his last meetings.
Thanks, Mike. At the last council meeting, you all directed me to reach out to the Water and Sewer District about the invoice for the emergency repair on an exposed pipe that was in a drainage ditch. Towards that end, I've had several very productive conversations with the attorney for the Water and Sewer District, Tricia Tisdale. We have talked about a variety of options that we are going to continue working on that I think will not only resolve this outstanding invoice, but the 17 or 18 other problem exposed pipes that remain, that have been issues in the city for some time. Even we've talked about identifying maybe some potential other problems that need to be addressed within the city. So towards that end, we've got a meeting set next Wednesday, I believe it is. The mayor and I are going to meet with Tricia and with the chairman of the Water and Sewer District and just have an initial discussion, see what we agree on, see if there's anything that we can, come up with moving forward as a resolution to avoid having to get a formal attorney general's opinion, God forbid litigation, but to work together and try to resolve this and any of the issues that are ahead of us as we deal with all of these drainage and other issues and pipe exposures and everything else. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update and let you know that we've been moving forward on it.
Thank you, Derek. The final item is just an update on our debris removal project. The third and final pass started on Monday. They had actually worked all of last week, too, a little bit each day, picking up piles. The monitor and contractor are driving every street in the city, making sure that street is cleared before they basically check it off their list, saying, okay, we're not going back to that street. Thus far, the contractor has removed right at 200,000 cubic yards of debris from our city streets as hurricane damage. Tetra Tech is here tonight, and I've asked them just to give an update on where they are and where we're headed. But we should be, God willing, finishing this project up hopefully this week. We'll get it, Matt.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me again. As Mr. Riso said, we're getting very close to the end. The contractor's been working very diligently, but we are down to just the one or two final trucks that are still here in the area. We are riding each street by street, to make sure that nothing was missed. Since we have entered the final pass stage, then we're signing off on those streets. So if they're clear, we're signing them off. So contractually, that's what we're going to do to kind of finish this thing out. We are riding every street, like I said, and if there's something, there is still a truck in the area, so if something was missed, we'll be happy to go out there and get that. Today's report, we only picked up 103 yards of material, so that shows you that it's getting very slim out there. So if there's anybody that you've heard of, or if you know of any piles, let us know. If any residents, let us know. We'll work with staff over the next day or two, but it's getting thin out there. So as soon as we get done contractually, we'll sign off on all of those streets to ensure that everything is clear and make sure we leave you in a good position as we head out of town. So I'm here for any questions if you have any, but kind of a short and sweet update.
Any questions to my left? Any questions to my right?
Thank you. All right, appreciate it.
So
Thank you.
when do we anticipate this week having the last pass?
Yes, ma'am. At this rate,
Okay.
at this rate, unless there's something out there that we're not aware of, I would imagine maybe a day or two, and we'll be complete.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Excellent job.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Any questions for the city manager to my left? Any questions for the city manager to my right? Thank you. We have several people that signed up for public comments, so we're not going to suspend the rules this time, which means you're allowed 3 minutes. So you come up at 3 minutes. Councilwoman Morgan is going to keep the clock timer on at 3 minutes. We're going to ask you to cut off. So make sure you're concise, prepared, and ready to say what you have to say. And when your 3 minutes is up, we're going to ask that you then leave the podium. So with that, we're going to move on to the first person that signed up.
Don Walter.
My name is Don Walter. I live at 7608 Fairway Drive. And things I have to say are, at your last meeting, you voted to send this motion back to the Planning and Zoning Commission, not for a vote, to get a reason why they voted the way they did. So I think the vote they took should be null and void, number one. Number two, one of the commissioners on that board, I believe, recently purchased property in Fairway Estates, and I think he should have recused himself, again, making that vote null and void. Let's see. We all know that it's R1 property, Fairway Estates. I know for a fact that there's 42 properties there, 38 of which I know have less than 4 people, probably less than 6 people living in those houses. The applicant has requested 10 people and 5 cars, and that's what's on the motion tonight. If you do vote tonight, I'd like to suggest and request that you change that motion from 10 people to 6 people and from 5 cars to 3 cars, bringing it more in line with Fairway Estates and the property that we live in Fairway Estates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Frank Pittman.
Council, appreciate the opportunity to say a few words here. First thing I'd like to say is I attended the first planning and zoning meeting when the issue came up about the rental property. And the gentleman got up, I don't know his name, and he said, first thing I want to talk about tonight is the setbacks on the piece of property. And he went on to describe what the setbacks were, and then he went on to describe how important the neighbor's opinion of that is, and that he went out and talked to the neighbors. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, if the neighbor's opinion, you know, like citizens that pay taxes and stuff, if we matter, then we shouldn't have a big issue here tonight. So next comes our issue. Now, we got like everybody on the street signed a petition and said, we don't want to be commercialized in our community. He then said that made no difference whatsoever, and he recommended that they open a vacation rental. I don't understand that. Maybe y'all need to talk to somebody. Secondly, I go to the next meeting. I got a dude sitting here in the second seat over. I believe his name is Bill Horn. I hope I got the name right. Before we can vote to reverse the vote, which was 4-2, he decides to make a speech. And his speech was, well, I own vacation rental property, and I don't have no problems with it, and it works great for me, and I support it. And I'm looking up and down here, and I'm seeing all these heads go, like little bobbleheads. Then I look over here, and they got a little attorney, and he goes thumbing through the book, and he starts citing things to give them the legitimate way to reverse the vote, which they did. It should have been, as Don said, it should have been no vote at all, but they voted 4-2 to approve it. The attorney says to the dude, Horn, do you think you should recuse yourself as a conflict of interest? If you do, then recuse yourself. Why, hell, I don't think I should recuse myself from standing up here right now and saying, don't do this. We've got a Supreme Court ruling from Fairway Estates overwhelmingly saying we don't want to be commercialized. Nobody wants me to open a small engine repair in my front yard 100 feet from that driveway, and I don't want to have to dodge cars going in and out. And then the most ridiculous thing he stuck on, little attorney guy, says, here's what you could do. If you really got a problem with this, if you file 3 charges in the next year, we can revoke this. Oh, well, what does the charge mean? Well, the charge means that Frank Pittman, or one of these lovely neighbors I have, would have to get an attorney, which I'm sure they'd appreciate, and file charges and take it through the court system. I believe I can still talk.
You're 3. You signed up?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So the issue being, first off, you should throw out any vote that they had in the last planning meeting. They clearly were not instructed to vote again. They clearly had a conflict of interest. They clearly had a guy influence the vote. That's all wrong. That's not what democracy is where I come from. And I've been through a few of these meetings myself in Kentucky before I moved here. I don't appreciate several things. I sent each one of you what I think is the simplest way in the world to figure this out. I Googled it. The Google tells you exactly what an R1 is. No questions about it. Now, you can take a book, I can get one of those too, and you can find ways to make exceptions to your rule. You can always find a loophole. And that's exactly what happened here. Thumb through the book. Here's, I think one of the particular comments was, here's something you can hang your hat on if you want to vote to do this. You don't need to be hanging your hat on anything except these people right here. We voted, I voted for you. Probably won't ever do it again, depending on how this turns out. But, well, call it like it is. We want no commercial business on our street. And I think our decision as neighbors should be considered and is more important than one person, and I don't have a thing in the world against that lady. I spoke to her once. As a matter of fact, I went over to say thanks. I thought she bought the house and moved in. I was trying to be nice. If you're going to open the door, and all of you know this is true, once you open the door, it swings wide. And you can say all the little things in the book over you want to about this exception and that exception. When the next person wants to do something 3 houses down, they'll be thumbing through that book again and find another exception. And we don't want the exception. We want this city council to do what they said to do to start with. Find the reason that the original vote was 4-2 not to approve. We want that overturned, and we don't want a conflict of interest. We want something done for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. Next. Mr. Harco?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Don't start the clock yet.
We'll give you a minute to prepare.
My handouts aren't just, I ran out of photo paper and ink. You're gonna have to share.
James?
Good evening, I'm Bob Harko. I live at 2 Foxtrot in the Oaks, and I do not agree that y'all have done a great job picking up the debris. I came back on the 17th of January, and the same pile of debris has been there ever since. There's one on Noma Drive, and there's one on Oaks Boulevard. And who's going to do the landscaping? Your trucks have made such a mess. Such a mess. But you don't have to look at it every day. You people don't have to look at it. I see it every day. Come with me Thursday morning, 8 o'clock. I'll meet you at the entrance to the Oaks, and we're going to walk, and I'll show you the damage that your company has done that I have to endure every day. The Oaks doesn't have the money to replace or repair the landscaping, where their trucks ran over the landscaping, where there's big ruts now. I don't know. It's just so unnerving to have to look at that every day. They're going to go home. They don't have to look at it. I've been looking at it for weeks. And if something's not done, I'm going to have to look at it forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harco. And with that being said, you know, I've had a few complaints that I've turned into the debris monitoring company and the debris removal, and they were fixed immediately in a very timely manner. So with that,
8 o'clock at the entrance to the Oaks.
okay, with that being said, we're going to ask the city manager to please reach out to you, Mr. Harco, and I'll share your contact if he doesn't have it. Set up a meeting, and let's see what we can do to get this corrected, because so far, and I even had a resident come up here a little while ago before the meeting started to say that they fixed something that she had wrong very promptly. So we will get on it, Mr. Harco. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, I'd like just to reiterate on that every damage that has been reported, they've been Johnny on the spot to go back. If the council member or a resident has sent it in to us and we forward it to Tetra Tech. They get with the contractor, and it's actually the contractor with the trucks. Tetra Tech's the monitor. They're overseeing it and making sure that that damage is fixed. So if we get a report of it, we'll submit it to them, and they'll go in and do it. So at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'd be happy. Well, I got an AC guy at 8 o'clock in the morning, but right
He
after that, I
said
will.
Thursday. Thursday.
Gotta go to the VA tomorrow.
Right. And we're not at the final payment part, so there's time to get this corrected, and they have been very good at getting things corrected. Is there any other agenda public comments? Okay.
Is it Deborah Shad? Shay?
Hello.
I am also a resident of Fairway Drive, and Mayor, nice to meet you. I've always prided myself as being a law-abiding citizen that's tried to always, adhere to all the ordinances and everything, and I really just don't understand why we are having this problem with this situation on Fairway Drive and the rental piece, okay? Fairway Drive is zoned an R1 zone, and that ordinance is in effect till 2028. So why we are even having to debate this situation, I don't understand it. My husband and I bought on Fairway Drive because we knew there was no rental properties, and it was voted and ordinance and zoned owner-occupied residency. And for us to even have to sit here and debate this and fight for that is, in my eyes, ridiculous, okay? I've seen the smirks that, frankly, you were doing when Frank was standing up here talking, and it may be comical for you, but we happen to live there, and we take this very seriously. This is our lives and our residence where we live, okay? So I don't have anything against that woman either, and I feel bad for her, but that's not what we signed up for when we bought there. And with it being zoned R1, it should be R1, period. Shouldn't even be up for debate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Jerry Phillips.
Afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
I too live on Fairway Drive, and it's no different than your city manager just explained about the architecture situation that you find yourself in. It's a black and white issue. You can't go in there and build a home unless it meets the architectural design of that zoning laws that you guys passed. We live in a community here that's beautiful. It's beautiful because you four folks up here in this environment follow the laws of the ordinances that you set. We issue citations for people when we have cars in the yard, boats, junk. We keep the place cleaned up that way. Well, this is no different. It's a black and white issue, and I agree with my wife. Why are we here? It's an R1 until 2028. We have no problem if the city manager and the mayor and the council want to change our zoning laws, do so. But until that time, you have to uphold the law as you wrote it. You agreed upon it. The city manager, the mayor, the council, all agreed at some point that we would be an R1 zoned community on Fairway Drive. Look around this room, look at the people that live on that street. Most of them are here to support that effort. There again, nothing against the people that bought the house. Has nothing to do with that. It's not a vendetta. It's a simple, uphold the laws that's written. That's all we ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Margaret Nutkins.
Margaret Nutkins, 7604 Fairway. The property is zoned R1, And a short-term rental is okay in an R1 zone if it is with a permit with conditions. So you are following the law. I wanted to thank the Building and Zoning Commission for reversing their decision and recommending that the permit be granted with the conditions. And I am agreeable to all of the conditions that the committee has recommended, and I feel it's fair to allow me to prove that the opposing residents are wrong in their assessment of how a short-term rental will affect them. As I said before, the use would be residential, not commercial, as they keep bringing up. I want to tell you that the blowback began immediately. My next door neighbor, and I'm going to quote her, says to me, "Keep those damn kids off my property." I would welcome her to consider that if she has such a concern that she could put up a privacy fence. But I have taken the recommendations and I've made the welcome packet that you all that they asked me to do. In it, I have included Diamondhead parking and noise ordinances, instructions that there are no more than 10 guests, no more than 5 cars on the property, and the garbage collection dates and the suggestions. I did include in the packet that I want the guests to be cognizant of my neighbors and be respectful of their spaces. I've given a rebuttal to all of the residents' arguments with the exception of how a short-term rental will change the characteristics of the neighborhood. And this is because no one has definitely stated what those changes would be. In fact, a decision to approve the permit will not change any of the residences except mine. Lastly, in speaking of the character of the neighborhood, I'd want to express my great disappointment that one resident felt the need to drive by and yell profanities at me. This act of verbal abuse has been reported to the police, and I will not be harassed by the residents. This type of behavior will not dissuade me from pursuing this short-term rental. All it did was anchor my resolve and make me feel more determined to prove that I am not a detriment to this neighborhood. I was born and raised in Mississippi, and the welcome that I've received from the residents on Fairway State does not personify Mississippi hospitality. But I would like for you all to consider all of the information that I've submitted and grant the permit to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
It looks like, is it Lisa Vegas? Vergana. That's okay. Well,
Hi, Lisa Vergano, 7620 Fairway Drive. Like I had told Nancy, the zoning committee was only instructed to give a reason why the initial vote, which was on our favor, was 4-2, to explain how they voted. It was not to totally re-vote again across the board, allowing a VRBO. That was totally wrong, and she told the zoning board exactly what that was to be. So this last reversal of 5 across the board should totally be rejected and omitted. Plus, I think his name is Tim Holdin, Holdin. He was sitting right over here on the board, like Don said. Right out admitted that he had an R1 and owned it and was renting it. So that right there, like he said, was a total conflict of interest. And he was not recused. Should have happened right there. His butt should have been removed right at that point. But that is a moot point at this thing because they voted clear across the board to go against us. But still, they should have never re-voted again. This is the main issue. It should have stayed 4 in our favor, 2 against. And that was totally changed, and the mayor did not tell them to do that. That's my main issue. And I want to know why Mrs. Nutkins keeps saying that she's a residential place. My question is, how can a VRBO not be commercial when you are receiving money? It's a business. This is commercial. This is no longer residential. You are making money. You are having guests stay in your house. This is a business. It's commercial. Okay? And another thing I don't understand, we've got 40 people on our block saying we didn't want it on here. And none of us, like we said, have anything to do with this lady at all. Nothing against her. The point is, we didn't sign up for this. We don't want it. They can have it in an R3 wherever else they want it. None of us care. We just don't want it on our block. Our block is very different than a lot of them. We don't want it. And why can one person come in who just moved here, not even a year ago, when people have been on this block paying taxes, POAs, since 1969, when the road wasn't even finished, up to current, and one person comes in and we lose all priority of being property owners? Totally not right.
Thank you. Next,
There is one more, but it is a non-agenda item.
non-agenda. So when we get to that point, we will move down. Ms. Longnecker, yours was not about an agenda item? Okay, then. It's not about an agenda item? Okay. Thank you. If you could just wait till we get to that point, thank you. Moving on to our minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the February 2nd, 2021 regular meeting minutes?
I so move.
Second.
January 19th, that's right, we are at February 2nd. So let's move on to January 19th, 2021. Could I get a motion to move the regular minutes?
I so move.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could I get a motion to move or amend to adopt Resolution 2021-004, thereby abandoning a 5-foot utility drainage easement on either side of a common property line between lots 7 and 8, Devil's Elbow Phase 1. The physical address is number 7, Devil's Elbow, parcel number 068Q-2-41-009.000, Gaillard property. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? And this is basically abandoning the 5-foot easements that are in the middle of these properties and side yards. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call, sorry, it's a resolution.
Finley,
Yes.
Morian,
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
LaCour.
Yes.
DePrio.
Yes. Could I get a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-005, requesting matching funds up to $2 million from the Hancock County Board of Supervisors for capital drainage improvements in the city of Diamondhead and for related purposes?
Also move.
Could I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? City Clerk?
Finley,
Yes.
Morian,
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
LaCour.
Yes.
DePrio.
Yes. Could I get a motion to approve consent agenda minus number 7?
Move.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Could I get a motion to move or to amend a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve variance as modified to construct a 6-foot wood privacy fence within 18 feet of the southwest property along Aiki Drive and extend beyond the front facade of the house 18 feet?
Move.
Could I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion to my left?
Go, ma'am.
Any discussion to my right? I do have one discussion. This was brought up at Planning Commission, and the residents that live on the adjacent property owners at the Planning Commission suggested some revisions, and this motion here implements what they suggested. Is that correct and fair? No, it's not fair. Okay.
It's close.
Okay, Mr. Rich, would you like to come up to the podium and explain this? Because I want to be very clear.
I'm sorry. As you know, this is a corner lot.
Correct.
And the original, and we treat corner lots with two front, so the 20 feet, et cetera. And then do we consider the back of the house the front facade again, front line of the house? So they came in with a request that they wanted to go further up towards the Amoka Drive side, along the side of the house there, would start their fence there, then come within, I believe it was 10 feet of the property line, and then run that back south or whatever direction it was. Anyway, run it back south to the end of the property line. What that would have done was first of all, it would put it over into the easement, okay? It wouldn't be 20 feet off the road or close to 20 feet off the road. Plus, it would run past the front line of the back door neighbor's house. And the only reason we considered this to begin with was because there is a back porch, which has an opening on the Aiki Drive side. So if we started the fence there and left that open, that would leave all that open. Children coming out, pets coming out, being exposed to the Aiki Drive. So, excuse me, our compromise was that we would come up 18 feet towards the front of the house, start the fence there, come out 6 feet, and then that fence would run to the back property line, which would align approximately with the front line of the back door neighbor's house, therefore not interfering with that neighbor's view.
Excellent.
And that's and then the street across has a similar type variance. The house, the lot across the corner from has a similar type variance there. So that's why we voted to amend that and allow that. And it was a safety issue there with the backyard. That not being able, if you got one side of that back porch open, then you are not afforded the privacy that most residents are with a back porch. So that's why we considered that.
Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Rich? Thank you. That's very clear now. Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Could I get a motion to move or to amend a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission in the matter of case file 202000481 to allow Ms. Margaret Nuttons a conditional use permit in accordance with the zoning ordinance table 4.2, article 4.21.1C, and article 2.5 to allow short-term vacation rental for 30 days or less in R1 district at 7604 Fairway Drive, tax parcel number 067P035066000, with conditions that parking would be limited to no more than 5 vehicles at a time during a rental. Should there be more complaints against the property, result in guilty verdicts in municipal court. Should there be more than should 3 or more complaints against the property result in guilty verdicts in municipal court, the permit shall be rescinded. Owner must be a resident of Diamondhead. Occupy is limited to no more than 10 people. Renters must be provided with city parking and noise ordinance. Renters must be provided with information on garbage collection and dates. Permit valid for 1 year from date of issuance, unless the ordinance has changed by allowing rentals without a conditional use. Could I get a motion to move or amend?
I would move to amend to deny the recommendation from B&Z.
Could I get a second?
I'll second.
We
A
have
point of
some-
order, if I could, please.
Mm-hmm.
A point of order. You've indicated in a motion to approve or amend,
I said move or amend.
move or amend. So as written, we approve the agenda as it was written, and it says motion to approve. So correct me if I'm wrong, counsel. The only way to amend this at this point, the way it's written, is during the discussion phase, someone in the council, whoever made the motion, agrees to amend it, to deny or approve. Or if we don't get a second, it dies, and then the item can be brought back up at the end of the meeting and revisited, as we all, and the only reason I mention that is we approved these specific procedures 2.5 years ago. I accept all the comments tonight, and I just want to make sure procedurally, since I was the counselor that made the motion to send this back to P&Z to explain why it was denied, and before me tonight, I do not see the answer of why it was denied. So I just want to clarify that for the council. So
I think what we can do to clarify is because, as you say, the motion was originally to approve, the motion can be made to approve. And if it gets no second, it dies. If there is a second and it does not receive 4 votes, it does not pass. So I think your point is well taken, and that's, I mean,
The motion can be made to amend as well.
and yeah, yes.
All right, so we
Correct.
have a motion on the table to amend.
Well, let's initially make the motion as it is written, and the motion is to approve, and make the motion as it is written. See if someone seconds it, we debate it, make a decision.
we'll first see if someone moves.
If someone moves.
And Counselor, if no one makes the motion and no one seconds,
It,
dies for lack of action.
it dies for lack of action, but the problem.
Before it can be discussed.
Sorry.
The motion should be on the table
It-
before
Right,
discussion.
and we are discussing it right now, but we're discussing how to even get it on the table. So, but the proper way to get it on the table, would someone makes a motion, as it is written, someone seconds it. If that doesn't happen, it does not go forward.
We can clearly move to amend the agenda
You
at
can move-
any point. So I think Councilman Morgan has moved to amend the agenda, to amend item action agenda number 15, 2016 as,
Motion to amend to deny the recommendation from planning and zoning.
could I get a motion to move the agenda as amended? The motion to move the agenda as amended.
As amended, I move.
Could I get a second?
Well, he would be seconding it, right? I moved.
No, you moved to amend, so you
Okay.
can second.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
No.
All right, so
Okay.
We're under a point of order, and it wasn't clarified, but we're starting to vote again here, so I'm confused, but that's fine. I want the issue,
I don't.
I want the issue to be addressed tonight. There's no doubt about that. I'm not trying to scuttle the issue, but the way this is written in front of us right now, we should be following that process. I have no problem with us amending that in the future. I really don't. I just think we should deal with it the way it's presented to us tonight. And then there are methods for doing what we're trying to accomplish.
right, and I believe the chairman has decided that the way she'd like to move forward is to allow an amendment before it's
Okay.
brought up. So,
And my vote stands.
and so,
Don't know what the vote is.
and so as I understand it, as it stands right now, there's a motion to amend to deny.
There's a motion to amend the agenda.
To amend the agenda.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. amend the
So
agenda.
there was first a motion by Jamie to deny. There was not a vote on that.
No
There was
action.
no vote on it.
Okay, she needs to withdraw that motion.
She,
Because there was a motion and a second that needs to be withdrawn. And then the motion was to amend the agenda by Shane?
Shane, and
Seconded
seconded
by
by.
Jamie, but then I didn't get the vote.
okay.
That's.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any deny?
What am I?
You could call for a roll call at this
Okay,
Roll
let's
call.
do a roll
Okay,
call.
roll call. Roll call.
Would you?
Okay, here's where we are, because it looks very confusing, right? So we're all confused out here. The motion to amend the agenda has been on the table. The motion was made by Councilman Finley to amend the agenda for item 2021-036 to deny the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and I'm not going to read the whole motion because it's very long, but if you have the agenda, read it. There was a second made by Councilwoman Morgan to approve the amended agenda as moved. Now we're taking a roll call to approve the agenda as amended. Okay, we can't scream from the audience, but here's where we, okay, here's where we are. So we're taking a roll call on amending the agenda to deny item 2021-036. Roll call.
Roll call. Finley. To amend the agenda, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Morian.
Morgan or Moran?
Maureen,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
LaCour.
Just to clarify, this is to amend the agenda only.
This is to amend the
Yes.
agenda to reword that motion
Yes.
to say deny. Is that how I'm, okay.
Yes, City
All right.
Clerk, that is where we are.
DeBrio.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, we're moving on to action agenda item number 15, 2021-036, motion to deny the recommendation of the Planning Commission in the matter of the case file 202000481 to allow Ms. Margaret Nuttons a conditional use permit in accordance with the zoning article table 4.2, article 4.21.1C and article 2.5 to allow short-term vacation rentals for 30 days or less in an R1 district at 7604 Fairway Drive, tax parcel number 067P-035-066.000 with conditions that parking would be limited to no more than 5 vehicles at one time during a rental. Should 3 or more complaints against the property result in verdicts in municipal court, the permit shall be rescinded. Owner must be a resident of Diamondhead, occupying the limit to no more than 10 people. Renters must be provided with the city's parking and noise ordinance. Renters must be provided with the information of garbage collection and dates. Permit is valid for 1 year from date of issuance unless the ordinance has changed by allowing rentals without a conditional use permit. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
And now we're moving for discussion. I'm going to start to my left with discussion.
Oh, we ought to, with your permission, the person who made the motion and seconded it, should they not?
They can, or we can
Okay.
start this way because I think we have more discussion than we
I don't
do.
have any problem.
Okay.
Can someone please speak to the issue that we sent back to the P&Z? The reason for denial. That's what I would like to hear, whether it comes from the building department or the attorney. This council voted unanimously to send that item back. It comes back as an approval recommendation and no explanation as to why it was denied.
We could have just had someone come and speak to us, but instead we just had to send it back.
Okay, we're gonna have to not speak from the audience because that is not proper conduct. If you want to speak, you have to sign up, then come up. So we will not tolerate or allow speaking from the audience. But we would like to hear from our council on what happened with our recommendation.
At the last meeting, last Tuesday, the Planning and Zoning Commission took up the matter again. Some of those members had rethought their position between their first recommendation and the second. Some additional comments were made from the public, and so they decided, the chairman of that commission decided that he would have another vote. 2 members changed their votes upon consideration of additional conditions that they felt would mitigate all of the concerns of the residents. And that's why they made their decision. I read them the standard the review criteria, A through L, and that was the decision that they made. So their findings were the original findings of Mr. Jones with additional conditions, and that's their recommendation. Commissioner Bauer, who had voted no the first time and the second time, did clarify for the record that his reasoning for denial, recommending denial at the first and the second meeting, was that he did not believe that the granting of the conditional use met with the character and nature of the neighborhood, and that was his reasoning. But and so that's how it has come back to you all.
So the P&Z was instructed, per the council's directions, explain to us why you recommended denial. Through that process, they reversed their positions?
Two of the members rethought it and changed their position.
That's all.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Not-
Okay, no,
Sir.
sir. Now, we can't talk from the audience. This is our last warning. We can't
it's
speak
accurate,
from
sir.
the audience. This is our last warning. If we continue now, we're gonna have to ask folks to leave. So we all want to hear, we're almost at the end of the meeting. We're very close, so let's all sit and listen. So, did that answer your question,
all I had. Yes,
Councilman
ma'am.
LaCour?
Thank
Okay. Any questions, any discussion to my left? Any additional? Any discussion to my right? All right, I am going to add that the council made a previous motion at the last meeting that we would like to look into regulations. The city manager mentioned that we have Orion Planning, which is doing our comprehensive plan, reviewing, looking, researching on Airbnb. We did place a moratorium until we figure out where we are and where we're going. So with that being said, we're spending taxpayers' dollars, we're looking at regulations, we put a moratorium in place, and we feel that we need to sit on this and wait until we see where we're headed, where we're going, and where we're going to allow them. So with that being said, let's do a roll call.
Finley,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
LaCour,
Yes.
DeBrio.
Yes. Moving on to routine agenda claim item, motion to approve docket of claims DKT 158074, DKT 158097, in the amount of $277,719.16. Could I get a motion?
I move.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, public comments on a non-agenda item.
CJ Longenecker.
Ms. Longnecker, this is your time. And remember, we're 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'm CJ Longenecker. I think most of you know it because I've been here for so long. Moved to Diamondhead in 1971 and been here most of the time since. Found this wonderful house on Fairway Drive and purchased this, not realizing that the POA was enlarging it. Well, we took them to court, won the first one. However, everything has changed since then, and it has changed a lot. Recently, found out they have no wash rack. They are putting poison and other fertilizer and other stuff into the trees right outside the maintenance yard itself. It has killed those trees. Those trees came down during the storm, and it's really a mess. But that's not the only mess, and I'm going to leave this all to the mayor and let her look it over, because there is so much to talk about. You don't have time, and I don't have time tonight either to go over it. However, I left the original fence was here by court law, and I've got a copy of that. This was approved. They had to move the fence back. Well, they have moved it back out again. But in the meantime, they have left garbage and debris all over the place in the back. It is not a fit place to live. Talk about noise. If you think kids can make noise, think what a maintenance yard can do. I have left for the mayor, I'm going to leave her, all of these pictures I have taken of the debris and stuff that the POA has left in their backyard in the woods for all of us to enjoy on that beautiful Fairway Drive. I have a copy of the first release, and the POA signed off on it, and they did for a while. They withdrew the fence, and Thelma Hopkins and I planted all the trees. We planted 500 trees ourselves and watered them for half a year to keep them growing. And Montjoy came along and mowed them down, left this trash and garbage all over the place. They have expanded again. We have been to court. Nobody seems to agree, but this is criminal. This is truly criminal what they have done. And we talk about one person moving in and causing a little action. Nobody on Fairway Drive seems to be terribly concerned about the garbage and the noise and everything that is created by that little Fairway Drive, or it's actually Cola Drive, maintenance yard. It's a shame. It's so ugly and so bad. Plus, they took the pole out of the middle of the gate that my husband and I and one other person took all the way to the Mississippi Supreme Court. They keep
Miss-
vandalizing it all the time, because I understand that they don't want it. But I don't mind it being opened up for something like cleaning up streets for everybody. That's why we have a
Okay,
gate
Ms.
on it.
Longnecker. If you leave that folder with me, I'm going to share it with the city manager and Mr. Rich, the compliance officer, and we are going to get busy looking into it.
Because I even left you in here a plat of the whole place, and it was a tiny little place to begin with, and they have expanded it out. It is hideous.
All right, thank you, Ms. Longnecker. Your 3 minutes is up, and if you leave
And
that with me,
I
I'll
thank you
share.
very much, and I apologize for my temper, but I have, it's been a lot of years that I've been putting up with this.
Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Longnecker, and leave that right here, and we're going to get with the
Okay.
city manager and Mr. Rich over there, and they're going to, oh, okay.
But I do have extra copies of everything in case it can't come back.
And we have your contact number to get it back to you. Okay. You-
I would appreciate whatever that we can do, because it really is criminal what they're doing.
Thank you.
They just laugh at me because I'm an old 86-year-old lady who thinks that it should be easier to live in a place that costs you fortune.
Well, thank you, Ms. Longnecker, for letting us know about this. And thank you, Mr. Russo, for looking into this. Council, Mr. Derek Cusick, is there any reason for executive session? No. Could I get a motion to recess until Monday, February the 8th at 6 p.m.?
I so moved.
Could I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?